Bio of Dominic Costabile. Director, Hospitality Training Institute. Founder, Collaborate app. Author, The Waiter. Dominic, an entrepreneur since the 5th grade and a high-spirited adventurer. An alumnus of IHM, Mumbai, 1990. After 12 years in hospitality operations, party catering, industrial canteens and restaurants, he started HTI in 2002. Since then, he has reveled in training across India and Mauritius, KSA, India, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Nepal, UAE, and Maldives. His preferred area of delivery is team building, behavioral leadership and entrepreneurship. Today, he moderates the Collaborate talk show, a platform that educates and excites people on the possibilities and potential of the gig economy and culture. Dominic is also a columnist for various hospitality trade publications and is a regular contributor to mainstream media. He has been hosted by various TV channels. He has a YouTube channel where he and his team put out content to enrich his audience. Dominic is an adventure enthusiast who loves to cook, exercise and travel, prefers a bike. He thrives under pressure, enjoys stormy days and always has a helping hand to spare. Charles Hannell's book, The Master Key System, opened his mind to the limitless power of the mind and aura. He is married to Andrea, editor, Savvy, India's leading women's magazine. They have 2 children, Storm, 24, and Tsunami, 19. Dominic's personal mission is self-improvement, and professionally, he wants waiters across the world to benefit from HTI and grow into managers, entrepreneurs and thinkers.
So warm welcome to all our viewers. Theme of the talk show is made in such a way because we want to help people transition successfully to the digital economy we are in now. And today we have a very distinguished guest with us, who is Mr. Dominic Costabile, and he is the founder of Hospitality Training Institute of India, and also the founder of the Collaborate app on the gig economy. He's the right person to help us transition actually from, you can say, the pre-COVID era to the digital era that we are in now. So a warm welcome, Mr. Dominic Costabile, to this talk show, and really privileged to have you and to learn a lot from you today.
Thanks, Leroy.
Great. So let's get into the discussion. What is this gig economy all about? How does it function? Can you just enlighten viewers, please?
Sure. So it has its background in the music industry or the entertainment industry. So earlier, what used to happen is people would have a day job, and then in the evenings or the weekends, they would play in a band, or they would go and do stand-up comedy or do some MC work. And that was called a gig. That means when they did that short-term program, it was called a gig. Later on, I'm guessing that organizations like McDonald's picked it up and used it as a earn while you learn. So students would be working in studying in a university, and to fund their own education, they would flip burgers. And this then expanded into what is being called the gig economy. It's very popular in the US. It takes up about 33% of their economy. Their GDP is based on the gig economy, and there are many more applications and sites, etc., that are promoting the gig economy. So what essentially is the gig economy is what we could call the freelance economy, where you have people who are not on a payroll of an organization or on a contract with an organization. They are paid either by the hour or they are paid by the task. So for example, your Uber, your Ola, your Swiggy, Zomato, the driver or the rider is paid during the time he is delivering. Okay. Before the delivery and after the delivery, he is not on their payroll. He is not getting paid. You also have other apps like the Urban Company, Amazon, Dunzo that have come into India of late. So that is the gig economy, but it is not restricted to only that. I can give you the example of, let's say, a doctor or a lawyer. You only pay them during the consultation. So they are technically part of the gig economy. If you have an interior decorator, an interior designer for your house or your shop, you only pay him during the time he is doing the interior contract. Once it is over, you stop dealing with him, you stop paying him.
So essentially, what gig economy is, according to what I have understood, is that it's a freelance work that is organized, structured, and moved to embrace all industries. Am I right?
Yes, perfect. In fact, I like the fact that you pointed out all industries. So you could in fact even move from one industry to another as a gigger. That's why earlier they were working in offices and playing in a band, right? Or MC. So it's across industries.
Perfect. So, have you been part of this gig economy? Because, through your experience, all of us could learn. Because now everybody is talking about the gig economy. Have you been in that, and what can you do to help us, to successfully transition to the gig economy?
Good question. So actually, I like the fact that you asked me, have I been part of the gig economy since I'm promoting? So interestingly, from 1990, when I got out of college till around 2002, my 75% of my income, I would say, or at least 50% of my income was based on the gig economy. So when I got out of college, I wanted to start my own business. I started my own business. But when you're just starting off, not many people give you business. So I started taking up freelance assignments. So initially, I took up with 3 caterers. They were my regular people who would hire me. I charged them differently, depending on the work they expected. And about a year after I started my own business, and about a year after I got into the gig economy, of course, at that time it was called freelancing. We never called it a gig. So just after I got it, about a year later, a lady approached me and offered me a full-time job. And I said, no, I'm not going to take it up as a full-time job. I will do it as a part-timer. She was obviously, this is 1990. She was not happy about the idea, but I refused to relent. So she gave it a shot. And it was good that she did that, because hardly a month later or 2 months later, another organization approached me and they wanted a part-timer. Now, both this job at Annapurna with this lady and VSNL, the other company that approached me, I worked with them for 11 long years, getting a monthly paycheck. And with Annapurna, I was getting yearly increments also, right? With VSNL, it was, maybe every 3 years or 4 years, I would renegotiate my contract with them. So these two gigs lasted me for 11 years. Besides doing my own business, besides doing multiple gigs, I started a restaurant in Thane as a consultant, worked there for 3 months. Then I did a gig for 3 months in Dubai. Okay. So there were multiple gigs I did. So yeah, so that's my 12-year journey.
So, very interesting. You ran an enterprise and simultaneously explored the gig economy. Am I right?
Yes, actually, it was more out of chance than choice. So I call myself the accidental gigger.
Exactly. So during that time, was your income decent enough to provide for your needs and family and business to fuel the business and expand it? Because people have a false impression, that salaries are only very high. So can you just shed some more light on that?
Yeah, so brilliant question. See, the fact that I'm sitting before you 30 years later, right? It obviously means it provided. So during that time, from 1990 to around 2002, honestly speaking, the one thing, the earnings were fantastic, by the way. Leroy, I mean, it was just mind blowing,
Okay.
because depending on the season, depending on the demand the person had, I would quote a price, right?
Okay.
You don't have a fixed list price. So whatever the project is, according to the project, according to your timing, according to what you quote. And I made a phenomenal amount of money in those first 12 years. But I'll tell you honestly, and that is one thing I would like to tell all giggers, I was not good at financial planning.
Okay.
So when I would see a large amount of money coming into my fold, I would end up spending a large amount of money. And then when I came into the down period where there is less business or less gigs available, I would go into hibernation, spend less. So if I knew how to save my money, if I knew how to invest my money, if I knew how to plan my expenses, that would have been fantastic. So the one thing that I did not learn, unfortunately, was financial planning, because the money was just too good. And when I'm saying just too good, even thinking about it now, I get excited.
Very good. So how did you overcome this weakness of lack of financial planning? What did you do to mainstream or put your business on mainstream as far as the cash flows are concerned?
So the cash flow, I never really learned it like I told you in the first 12 years. But around 2002, when I started Hospitality Training Institute, so at that time there was a gentleman called Sunil who was my partner, and he was extremely good at financial planning. He was extremely good at planning. Okay. And from him, I learned how to plan. So, you look into the future, you see what things could come up. And when I'm talking about planning, it did not only affect my financial planning, it affected everything that I did after that. Whether it is designing my own home or, interiors of the home or any booklet. So, two things that Sunil really gave me was planning actually, not just financial planning, planning and structuring things. Both these things I did not have as a giger. In fact, I was enjoying the unstructured part of it.
Very good, very interesting journey. So how did you, the accidental geeker, benefit from this gig economy 12 years back?
Not 12 years back. This is 1990 to 2002.
Okay,
So this is like 30 years back to around what, 22 years back, 18
okay,
years back.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
how did you
the
benefit from this?
first thing is I learned multiple skills. So you do a lot of multitasking because in the morning you're doing something, in the evening you're doing something else. You're planning for day after tomorrow. You're planning for a month later. Somebody has booked you, and you got to decide what is my price supposed to be for a month later. How busy will I be, right? So got to explore a lot of industries. I got to learn how to deal with people because see, if you work in a single organization, after a certain point, they know you, you know them, and you sort of get along easily. But when you're doing gigs, you're working with different people and you're hitting the road running. Because what I mean by hitting the road running, like let's say you start a gig, there's already a team there, you got to fit in with the team. And within one day, you're out of that team, or within maximum 3 months, you're out of that team. So in that time, you got to just gel with them very fast, do the task, and you're out. So people skills went up a lot. Understanding, what I call signs. If a person says something to you in the first part of the conversation, you pick up a sign as to how this person is going to be, right? And it's very important, especially when you're doing gigs, because you have got to, bet on the person you're doing the gig with. Will he pay me is the most critical question there, right? So very early on, you pick up on these signs. Yeah, so that's how I benefited from the gig economy in terms of my skill set.
Good. So, Mr. Dominic, one question that is coming in my mind is why didn't you choose the conventional route of, working maybe for a five-star hotel or a large hospitality group? I think you could have made also lakhs of rupees or even millions.
So you're right. Initially, see, when you join any job, your salary is low. But especially in hospitality, what I have noticed is there are very few talented and intellectually, people who are agile, intellectually agile, because it tends to be a very, physical activity. You do work physically. So if the fact that you last in the industry gives you the edge for getting a higher salary. So from that perspective, what you asked, yes, maybe my salary would be quite large by now if I was in the permanent structuring or the standard list. But what it does not give you, or what it takes away from you, a permanent job, is the freedom and flexibility. You've got to apply for leave, for instance, or if your boss suddenly changes, you're stuck with that boss. He doesn't like you or you don't like him. Sometimes the organization policies change, and something that was working for you, they have suddenly changed. Now it's not working for you. So I preferred the gig economy because of the freedom and flexibility it offered me. And honestly speaking, the freedom and flexibility then leads you to enjoy what you're doing. But
Agreed.
if you're stuck in a permanent job, like I said, your boss is dictating terms to you. Maybe the owner of the organization, suddenly some staff change, suddenly some policy change. So you may not like it. Then what do you do, right?
So now, are you suggesting that the gig economy is the best way for everyone? Everyone should become gig workers or, take on gig assignments?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Why?
See, the
Why?
gig economy, yeah, there are three ways of getting employed, right? One is you work for somebody as a permanent employee or a contractual employee. The other is you start your own business and you start employing other people, right? These were two ways. The gig is sort of an in between thing. Neither
Okay.
are you permanent with anyone. Yeah, you're not permanent with anyone, nor are you running a business where you have to pay salaries. Okay, so you do get your freedom, you do get the flexibility of the assignments you take up, but there is the risk. What if you don't get gigs?
Yeah.
What if after doing a gig somebody doesn't pay you, which does happen, right? So it is not for everybody. You need a different mindset. You need a different approach to the whole thing. Okay, which unfortunately, see, we have people around us who are doing business, and we have people around us who are working permanently. They can advise us, but in the gig structure there are very few people, right?
Hmm. Yeah, so I just love that concept that only, people who value their freedom, it's for them. It's basically for them to take up this challenge. So that's what I think I got the takeaway
Yes,
from
that's what I'm
the.
driving at. That's what I'm driving at.
So they're
Because you're absolutely right.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so absolutely, I'm saying, everyone is not cut out for the gig work.
No,
So
not at
now,
all.
but what happens to them? Because we are seeing a shifting of the world now. Permanent employment is so. How do they transition to the digital world if they cannot, be adaptable to the situation that is happening now?
So you brought in a very pertinent point, Leroy, because when we talk about the gig economy, like I said, see, it's not for everybody, right? But you've also pointed out very rightly that the permanent employment scope is disappearing.
Exactly.
So probably maximum 10 years later, everybody will have to fit into the gig economy to a large extent. Yeah, because see, governments have stopped hiring people full time. Governments are
Exactly.
now they are outsourcing their work to people who then will hire, who are currently hiring contractual employees, but they will start hiring gig workers. So the concept of permanent employment will slowly reduce to a minuscule quantity, and gig work will grow. So if you ask me, how can a person adapt? You got to have the explorer mindset. You have to have that risk taker mindset. You have to have that quick learner in you. You have to have this ability of getting along with people. See, right now, what happens is, like I told you, in a permanent employment thing, it's like a marriage, right?
Hmm.
It's literally like a marriage. You're in that organization maybe 15 years, 10 years,
Yes.
maybe 5 years, but at least you're married to that organization for 5 years. So the people you get along with after a point, I mean, you work with, after a point, they understand, he's not this way or he's not that way. Yeah. Or he's always like this, right? So, also one very important thing that a gig worker should have is this ability to embrace mistakes, to just love the fact that, okay, I made a mistake, to celebrate it and move on. Not, hold your head, oh, I made a mistake and what will happen. जो हो गया अभी आगे तो बढ़ो.
Yeah.
And
Very
the beauty is about the independence that you get,
exactly.
right?
Freedom. That is.
The freedom.
Yes. So, coming to India now, what is your estimate on the size of the gig economy in India? Will all these people who are transitioning from, the old economy to the digital economy be, fitted into this economy? What is the impact you feel it will create? All these things, I think, please share. It's very important.
So yeah, so what we're talking about is a disruption, right? Uh, See, Leroy, you've not asked me, let's say, maybe the pros and cons, which you probably come out to at some point. But it's like, if we go into pros and cons, the debate will be mute. Why? Because the gig economy is here. Now, you will say that, okay, for example, is the internet good or bad for children? You can debate that, but the internet is there. It's not going anywhere, right? If you say, the games that are available online are not good for the children, that may be the fact. And someone may say it is good for the children. That also may be the fact. But the point is, it's here. Now, how do you live with it? Now, coming to the estimate of the gig economy, let me tell you that in India, the gig economy has always been very big, always, and makes up nothing less than 50% of the economy even today. Let me explain how. Even let me explain how. In the unorganized segment, in the unorganized sector, see, you are hiring a mechanic. You go to a roadside mechanic. When he finishes the task, you pay him. That is the gig economy. You take your cycle to a cycle shop. That is the gig economy. You're not paying a monthly charge to that cycle repairman, right? The maid that comes to your home is part of the gig economy because she is working in your house. Then she's going to three or four other houses. The person who washes your car or your bike, he's also part of the gig economy. He washes your car and washes another car, and he charges per car or per vehicle that he washes, right? But these are not recorded because these are all in cash transactions and it's impossible to record. Now, this part is impossible to record. That is why it's not being recorded. However, there is a large part which is what we call the do number ka business or the black. So there are organizations who don't want to show that on paper. So they hire a plumber, they hire a washer, they hire a loader, and they pay him on the spot either per sack that he lifts or per day that he is working in as a loader. All this is part of the gig economy. However, now in the organized segment, right, at least 50% of that will shift to the gig economy. So we are talking about 50% which was already in the unorganized segment and another 25% being added to it. This is my guesstimate. Okay. Now, so earlier, for example, you had delivery boys, we call them the barkias or the tambis. जाके ये deliver करके आओ, ये चाय यहाँ पे दे वो. That is coming into an app called Swiggy and Zomato, which you are well aware of, right? You had a peon in your office, go and deliver this paper or go and get that person, send this document over there. That was in the organized segment of the offices. You had a peon. Today you don't have a peon. You'll have Dunzo, right? And that will get recorded and plugged into our GDP. So at least 50% of the current employment is going to shift to the gig economy, current official side. And what was in the unorganized segment, you will have, believe it or not, you already have it. You have, for example, urban company. They come and wash your car, right? They do a full service of the car at your home. They'll come and clean your homes. The beauty parlor, the massage segment, everything is moving on to apps. Okay, and that will get recorded in the GDP. Earlier, these were not being recorded on the GDP, right? Because they were cash transactions.
Yeah, so this is a big eye opener for all the audience. So India is prepared to absorb people who are transitioning from the normal economy to the gig economy. So I have one concern here, and I think it's the concern of all the audience also. Will this have a negative impact on the permanent job market now?
Leroy, for sure. The permanent job market, see, with the pandemic especially, organizations cannot afford to pay fixed salaries for the month and for the year because they don't know. Let's say COVID disappears. Let's presume COVID disappears. What's to stop the next pandemic from coming around? And earlier, no one was thinking in terms of pandemics. Now people will start thinking in terms of pandemic. So a person will say, okay, there is this option of the gig economy. Let me keep, where I had, say, 20 employees full-time, let me keep 10 employees full-time and let me take 10 from the gig economy. Or let me take 5 permanent and 15 from the gig economy. Or keep 15 permanent and 5 from the gig economy, which they're already doing. Like I told you, the peon is going to be a redundant factor. You won't have a peon. Restaurants had delivery boys. They will not have delivery boys. They will rely on Swiggy and Zomato. Right, so permanent employment will move out. Now, also keep in mind, there is good news. See, we have a size of the economy, right? If we say the economy is going to shrink or the economy is going to remain static, then it will have a fast impact on the permanent employment. But we know that the economy is going to expand. So as the economy expands, the segment that it expands in, that will be taken up more by the gig economy. The traditional segment, the existing segment, will continue to have their permanent employment. You get it?
Yes,
So
I
it's
get it.
got it. So because the pie is becoming bigger, the share of the pie that increases will go more to the gig economy. The existing share, what is existing, will lose ground to to gig economy, but it will not wipe it out.
Good. So what I gather from this is basically, the impact of the gig economy will in fact catalyze the growth of industries. So you have,
Very true.
yes, and in India we have so many qualified people, the retired people, even women who have taken a break from their employment because of their families, and
Yes,
even college students. I think all of them will benefit from this gig economy. Am I right?
very true. Very true. They will be brought into, see, because you have students who can contribute to the workforce, uh, women who are at home, jobless because they are looking after family. They could spare maybe 4 hours a day or 2 hours a day and work in the gig economy.
Good. So now we'll talk about the cons of the gig economy. What are the cons? What is the downside? I mean, we need to see both the positive side and the negative side, and then we
So
get the
I knew
complete
you.
picture.
I knew you'd want the cons also. I mentioned it earlier. Yes, there is the downside. Okay, and we have to find out how to live with it or how to remove the cons. So there is a possibility of people exploiting it. Okay, there is obviously the low job security level. There is the lack of social security, but there are what do you call that, safety measures coming in. For example, the government has promised to build up social security measures for people in the gig economy. By the way, internationally, the countries that have a highly developed gig economy, their social security to look after the giggers is very much in place, which India will slowly bring it in. Then when we're talking about exploitative, honestly speaking, exploitative is normally only restricted to the uneducated segment. One is the uneducated segment. The second is if I have a very common skill that anybody can do, okay, then I'm open to being exploited because there is a larger supply and lower demand. So naturally, if 10 people are offering to do the same job and I need only one of them, I will try my luck. I will say, okay, $20, or it's like going to buy vegetables, right? When there is a oversupply, the price bottoms out. So if I were to look at being a gigger, I would have to look at my skill set and my education level. Okay, honestly, a gigger faces the same risk like an entrepreneur or an enterprise, right? You have to be price competitive, you have to be smart, and you have to be constantly evolving, right? So that you're offering a better product at a lower price, offering a better service at a lower price. Yeah. So to mitigate the risk, you constantly grow.
Exactly. I think you got a very powerful point here. So if we want to be successful in this gig economy, we need to be more valuable to the market.
Exactly.
So, like, you take the example of McDonald's, since you're from the hospitality industry, they get paid per hour, but they get paid very less per hour because anybody can do that job. In maybe 2 days, they can learn and they can get replaced. So,
Correct.
if you're upgrading yourself and you're performing a service or a skill which is not easily replaceable and you're adding value to the market, then I think you can be really successful in the geek economy. Am I right, Mr. Dominic, please?
Very true. Very true. And when we're talking about upgrading, Lero, it's not that you have to upgrade on a daily basis, right? But at least every 2 years, 3 years, evolve, grow, learn some new skill, contribute something more, right? At least every
Exactly.
2 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, we upgrade our mobiles. I mean, the operating system gets upgraded every year. So we need to upgrade ourselves also. Very good point. So which industries are immersed in the gig economy? Can you throw more light on that?
So, see, the music and entertainment industry, they were pioneers in using it. Okay, they were the pioneers. Like I told you, you'd do MC or you'd sing or you'd play in some orchestra. So the music industry, and even today, is run on the gig economy, right? But it slowly moved to hospitality. Your fast food chains, your quick service restaurants, where, as you rightly pointed out, these are skills that were very easy to pick up. So college kid would, come on duty, learn the skills. Within maximum 2-3 days, he is skilled at it, starts performing. If there is something, a higher level skill he has to be or she has to be taught, they can be taught in another 2-3 days. Okay. Now, besides that, the gig economy has made great inroads in the IT, whether it's website development, social media, marketing, programming. These are industries, and there are many apps also that are available for you to get IT related jobs. The beauty of the IT gig work is that, um, sitting in India, you can deliver a project for America or Canada, or so. In fact, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, we are doing a lot of work in for the first world countries, as we call them, the developed nations, from out of these logistical locations, right? There is also customer care and marketing. So a lot of gig work is outsourced to people on a, what do you call it, a result oriented basis. That means, okay, this is the contract you have. You take care of this much business, or rather you bring this much businesses, this is the percentage you will get. Or in customer care, where, this many calls will be diverted to you. The more calls you handle, that much more you will be paid. And again, your rating will depend on, how the customer responds to you and says, what is the feedback you get. So the better the feedback, the higher you'll get bonuses. So that's where the gig economy is expanding. And today, the dominators are the logistic companies. When I'm saying logistic companies, your Ola, your Uber, your Zomato, Swiggy, Amazon, the ones that really move things around, courier companies, that's where it's coming, growing phenomenally. So if you've noticed, what I've said is it's actually moving into all industries, industry agnostic, as we call it.
Exactly. So the point is here, it's not only working, for people who are working like physical jobs, the delivery boys, taxi drivers, but I think people who are using their brains, they are resourceful in their minds, they are
Yes,
talented, even for them, the opportunities are coming. So
yes,
everybody
because there's
wins in the end.
very true. So it's opportunities for everyone. Okay, across physical, mental, emotional. Because even counseling is being done online now, and you're paid that way.
Exactly. Even the doctors, all the doctors are in an app now, and you just pay the consultation fee,
Yeah.
and that's it. So that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, now coming to the highlight of this discussion, you have launched Collaborate app in India. Tell us something about that and how it can help the people who are thinking of transitioning from the old economy to the digital economy in India.
Okay. So, by the way, just to clarify, when you're saying the digital economy, I'd like to clarify there are two parts about the digital economy. One is that I get connected with people digitally, but I deliver physically,
Okay,
right? So, yeah. So, for example, a Zomato is is an app, but the transaction takes place physically, where the rider picks up the product and delivers it to a person, right?
okay,
Then there is the digital. That
okay,
means you give me work that I can deliver digitally.
exactly.
Okay, right? Whether it is developing a software, or whether it is looking after your website. So I could be sitting in, let's say, Europe, and you have given me to develop your website, or I have given you to develop the website, and we do it. So the digital is a facilitator.
Okay,
Okay. Now, what we have done, Collaborate, as you rightly pointed out, we've recently developed it. So Collaborate, firstly, let me just tell you the meaning of Collaborate, or how we arrived at the word collaborate. So co is CO, as in company and owners. LA is liberated associates. So we are calling the gig workers, the freelance workers, we are calling them liberated associates. So companies and liberated associates are connected to each other on the app. They can make bids and offers, that means negotiate on the app itself. And if they wish, they can even call each other and negotiate. Okay, we have no issue with that. And rate is the rating that they give each other on the app itself. So when, let's say, you employ me, then at the end of my gig, you will rate how you liked working with me. But I will also rate how I like working with you. Because are you going to be paying me on time? Have you paid me? Have you exploited me? Whatever, I will give you a rating, right? So that's how we arrived at the word collaborate. Now, this is where, it's a mutual platform, and the idea, that's why Collaborate, it should not favor organizations, or it should not be favoring the liberated associates. It should be a collaborative effort where both win. All stakeholders involved in the transaction should win.
Very good. So is this app open to all industries?
Yes and no. So is Collaborate open to all industries? Yes and no. I'll tell you why yes and why no. See, our target, because I am from hospitality, I mean, 30 years in hospitality plus. My love is obviously hospitality. My connections are obviously hospitality. I understand the needs of hospitality professionals. I understand the need of owners in hospitality. So, because of that, by virtue of me being one of the promoters of the app, right? The app is growing in the hospitality and service segment. But by nature, a gig worker cannot be restricted to any one industry. That is against the whole concept of being a gig worker. So we will be inviting, like there is already a insurance company talking to us about coming onto the app where they will use the gig workers there. So let's say in the day I'm working in a restaurant, in the evenings I'm selling insurance, in the nights I'm MC at some place. So it is across the board. Now let's say, for example, when I said an MC, hotels could hire me as an MC, but even organizations for their corporate events could hire me as an MC, right?
Exactly.
Um, then a school could hire me as an MC for their sports day, right? So a gig worker is somebody who, the minute you put it into a box, you say, okay, this is the only industry we are for, then it's not a gig worker because you're putting the person in a box or a cage. And gig means essentially freedom, flexibility.
Good. Very detailed. So how does one register in this app?
Okay, so it's very simple. You click on the what do you call that? You click on the link, and you're in the app. The link I could share it, or you could put it up as a
Yeah,
thing.
I will.
It's
I will do that.
Wolf dot collaborate app.
Yes.
You sign in, you'll get an OTP. If I'm a gig worker, I load my CV. If I'm a company, I load my company profile. And on this app, what we have done is we put in very interesting features. So let's say, for example, I'm a gig worker. I can put my link to my Facebook if I want. I can put my link to my LinkedIn. I can put my link to a YouTube video, which talks about the work I'm into. If I'm a chef or an artist, I can put my Instagram link. So this way, the company would get a lot more insights into who I am. I could mention that I've taken both the vaccines. I could put my Aadhaar card. There is a lot of scope to market myself through the app. As an organization, on the other side, we have put up links where they can put a video of their organization. How does the place look? Because let's say I'm worried about my safety. I'm concerned about my safety. So how is the organization? Do they have washrooms for ladies? Do they? What is their setup? How are the people groomed? How do they speak? So different marketing tools for both sides. The company and the liberated associates could market themselves.
Yeah, very good. So just a curious question. Most of the apps are free. Why have you made a subscription? So that's in my mind and maybe in the audience mind. There should be a
Okay,
reason.
so
Yes.
so we have gone with the subscription model where we are charging 4,750 to organizations, which is the introductory pricing, by the way. 4,750 to organizations for 1 year, which comes down to just 400 rupees per month for an organization, any amount of hiring. If you're a liberated associate, you pay just 250 rupees per year, right? Which comes down to approximately 22 rupees per month. Now, we don't take any commissions. Other apps, whether it's a Swiggy, Zomato, Urban Company, whatever, Amazon, they take a fee upfront and they pay some part of that to the associate, and that's why it's free. We are not taking any commissions. We are saying you can deal with each other as many times as you want at whatever price point you want. You have just got to pay us this ticket fee. Also, one thing that I would like to tell you, you'll agree with me here, Mileroy, for sure. There is no free meal, right?
Exactly.
Now, yeah. So when the organization tells you it's free, it is benefiting from you in some way in which it is not telling you. It is selling your data, it is pushing you somewhere, it is exploiting you in some way. Here we are being very upfront, boss. You pay us this amount, which is a small fee, right? we obviously need that money to develop the app, to market it, to give you the services you require, to upgrade the app. So you also be fair and pay up that money, right? Rather than you look for a free meal and then you pay in a manner in which you're not even aware. That's cheating, according to me. I mean, there's no other word for it. So there is no commissions, no hidden costs. We are not selling your data. We are not going to take money from certain people to boost them on the app, which is what the apps are doing, right? They're giving you a gold membership, a platinum membership, and
Yes,
stuff
they
like
are
that,
doing it.
right?
So very good. I'm very convinced that better take the money from the parties themselves rather than take it from the third parties and misuse the data. So very good. Really appreciate your transparency and honesty in this matter. Okay, now coming to the last question, what is your final take home for those who have already started thinking of transitioning to the gig economy?
Okay. So I got three words for you: freedom, flexibility, and fun. Okay. Not only for the gig worker, even for the employers, for the organizations. Like, let's say you start a business, you also get freedom, you also get flexibility, and that leads to you having fun. So both have both sides. Let's say you're an organization, I'm the gig worker. We both have the freedom to work with each other. We can choose to work with each other. We can choose not to work with each other. We can choose when to work with each other, and we can decide at what price point we want to work with each other. That is the freedom part. Now the flexibility. Let's say we start working together, right? I feel I am delivering a lot more than the value than the money you are paying me. We have the flexibility. I say, okay, I had made this deal for 1 month. Now post that, Leroy, I need this much more money. Okay. On the other hand, you feel that, listen, I was paying Dominic so much money, I need him for less number of hours. So you say, listen, Dominic, I'll pay you more per hour, but I'm going to hire you for less number of hours. So there is a freedom and a flexibility. Now, because of this freedom and flexibility, see, it's to use a very simple thing, it's like you're dating. It's not a marriage, right? There is no long-term commitment. There are short-term commitments, and as long as you and I are happy in this engagement, we continue. You feel that Dominic is cheating me, you stop dealing with me. I feel you're exploiting me, I stop dealing with you. Now, because of this freedom and the flexibility that we have, we are both having fun. We are both enjoying ourselves. I don't have to hold my head. Oh, I have to see that Leroy's face. If I get fed up of seeing Leroy's face, I just stop dealing with him. Find somebody else. You get irritated with the way I'm behaving. You find someone else. We shake hands and we move on. Tomorrow, you need my services again, or I need your work again. We come back together. Fair enough. Yeah. So there is no hanging on, with obligations and okay for the children's sake. There is just the words that I said: freedom, flexibility, and fun. That's what the gig economy means to me, and that's what the gig economy is all about.
Good. So how does now people start preparing? They register to the app, or
Okay, so
how do they prepare?
thank you for helping.
Yes.
Thank you for helping me with my app, but
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be through Collaborate. It doesn't have
Yes.
to be through Collaborate.
Hmm.
What people need to do is first get the mindset that the gig economy is here to stay, whether
Hmm.
you like it or not. Permanent employment is going to shrink in the opportunities it allows. Okay,
Exactly.
so mindset, get used to the gig economy. First thing, right? Now, see how you can train yourself for the gig economy, and the best people to get trained early, fast, is your college students.
Hmm.
Okay, their grandparents will say, "Beta, get a permanent job." Their parents will also say, "Ye kya hai? Gig economy kya hai? I don't understand it. Get a permanent job." Listen, permanent jobs are gone. Face it. Also, today's children are not made for permanent jobs. They're
Exactly.
not made for it.
That's a good
They want
point.
instant gratification. They want instant gratification. They want their freedom. My own son, right? He went off. He told me first, I'm going to work in a hotel for 5 years, and then I will go join you in the business. I said, go ahead. He worked for a couple of months with Oberoi's. Then he felt he was not meant for Oberoi's. He got a very good project in Andamans with a person called Prahlad Kakkar to learn diving, become a dive instructor, and help out at the dive school as the hospitality part. So he went there for another 6-8 months. Then he didn't like it. He came back. Then he said, can you connect me to people in Maldives? And he was also connecting with people in Maldives to become a dive instructor there. And he started working in my organization as a trainer. Then I found him getting very comfortable, taking on more responsibilities. I said, what's happening? Aren't you going to the Maldives? He said, no, I'm happy here. Then when he was working here, he found that the Collaborate app is something he wants to do. So he jumped from training to the Collaborate app. So and understand, it's not that he is, messing up his life. He just wants that freedom and the flexibility. So the gig economy is built for children. It's built for the youth, right? And the elders, whether you're retired, whether you have got experience, whether you're a housewife, a lady who's taken a break to look after kids, the gig economy has so much to offer. So if people just understand the gig economy, I'm telling you, they will not want a permanent job. Just like when I was offered a permanent job, I said, no, thank you. I'd rather be part of the freelance economy, the gig economy, right? That's what's going to happen. And you know me, Leroy, we've dealt, you've seen I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
I'm a happy man. I've got investments. I've got a home. I made it, right?
And you employ others also, no? You employ others.
Very true.
That is
very
a very important contribution.
Yeah. And I want to keep growing. So the gig economy is what gave me my initial, that spark of quick learning, understanding. Beautiful place. Really fun.
So what are your future plans? Next 5 years?
So, taking Collaborate International is one of my most important agenda. I want to take Collaborate International. Because people from India, let's say, I tell my son this because he's like, my icon when it comes to the gig economy, and he loves diving. So I said he should be able to apply for a gig in the Philippines at a dive school. So let's say during the day, he's doing some diving. He could be working at the resort. He's a hotel management graduate. He could be working at the resort and he could be exploring the city. After doing 3 months at Philippines, he decides to go to Europe where, let's say, the ski season is open and he moves there. He learns how to ski while he's working at a restaurant. For me, that is, it will be the achievement, that where my son, his friends, kids of that age are able to roam around the globe. And if you look at New Zealand, if you look at Canada, Europe, they allow people to work while visiting. Okay, they encourage that. Australia. There are certain limitations. Even the Maldives, you can get a work permit at a very low cost. You pay for it and you work. And slowly, this is what we're talking about is the global economy, right? Just imagine, getting to roam around anywhere in the world. And while you're there, you're not spending out of your pocket, but you're probably even earning something,
exactly.
Right? So you're getting, it's such a beautiful thought. Just imagine, Leroy, you could roam around the world and not put out any money from your pocket and probably get paid. That would be like the icing on the cake.
That will be a big bonus.
Also, I'd like to add here, as a family, you can roam around.
Okay.
Say for example, there are so many couples. Let me talk about the industry I love, hospitality. There are so many couples who are from the industry both. They go to a resort, right? They've got, let's say, a small kid or whatever. They talk to the resort. They say, okay, we're coming there for 3 months. We've got a small kid. You give us accommodation which can handle a kid-friendly accommodation. During the day, the kid is looked after by, let's say, or the lady herself becomes a nanny to the other kids that are coming there. And the gent is working in the kitchen, or he's working in the service, or he's working in housekeeping, or he's working as the general manager of the place. So the couple goes there, and after the child is, on a 3-month holiday or whatever, so they have a 3-month break in Maldives or in Mauritius, right? There's so much to explore through the gig economy. So much.
Very good. Very powerful, insight into the gig economy. I am sure, it will help our audience to, see the realistic picture of the gig economy and then take a decision once they now I think is the time for them to take the decision so that they can plan for the next few years,
the disruptions that are coming.
The disruptions that are coming, and secure themselves at least financially. So thank you very much, Mr. Dominic Costaber. A pleasure to talk to you. We learned so much from your experience, and I hope you come out with more, ventures like the Collaborate app, and keep adding value to, the humanity as a whole. Thank you once again, and
Thanks a lot.
I hope everybody has enjoyed this. Please take action. I'll be putting all the links on the description below. You can register on the app and even contact HDI and take your decision forward. Thank you once again for all the time that you all have given us. Have a great day.
God bless. Keep rocking.